with Steve Austin possibly having more matches after his WrestleMania comeback and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for February 16. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. During his interview on the Pat McAfee show, Brock Lesnar would touch on his social anxiety, noting that this is the reason he prefers to be alone. I like to go and just get away from the people. It's not that I dislike people. I mean, it's not been that way, but some people I don't like. I just like to be left alone because I'm in front of an audience, then it just exhausts me. So I gotta go and recharge up. Following the departure of Cody Rhodes from AEW, Dave Meltzer was asked about Cody's potential ownership stake in the company. On Wrestling Observer Radio, it would be noted that Rhodes is not walking away from the promotion with any piece of it. You know, it's an interesting thing, because I do know when this was all going down that he was not going to do that. That was clear to me, that they were going to own AEW 100%. It's possible they could have with a business partner or something, which they did not do. But as far as the talent, that was not something that was offered to them. They were offered a lot of money, and they were offered, again, executive positions and everything. One of the things, it's that, when the company started, Cody was going to be and was one of the real big single stars were Cody, Kenny Omega, Moxley, and Jericho. They were the big four. That was going to be the case. And as time went on, Cody's role was to add to that. It was also noted that Cody going to WWE will set a precedent for how Vince McMahon treats AEW stars. One of the key things is that if Vince doesn't use him well, it's a sign to everyone on that roster, that AEW roster who may be thinking the grass is greener, that it's not. I think that from a business standpoint, not just for Cody but for MJF or Sammy Guevara or whoever is there, Wardlow or somebody that may have potential and WWE may have interest in, Jon Moxley or whatever, you can make the argument that Cody should come in. Obviously, he's going to come in with a giant pop. That always happens. You would want to use him very, very strong, if not just for him, but for everything, for every reason in the book. I mean, we'll see though. That doesn't mean they will, but I know if it was me in this situation, I would shoot him to the moon. He's a good promo. Then again, the weird thing to me is is he really going to being structured to the level he's going to be structured as opposed to being much freer? And that's the one where I am surprised for a lot of reasons that he would make this call. But there's evidently, whatever. There's something. Maybe it's just pure money, or he just thought he could make more money in WWE, and at this stage of the game, that's all there is. Maybe it's that, I don't know. Certainly the people who are closest to the situation, but still don't know because the only ones who know are Cody and Brandi and Tony. That's it. But they were not talking about it as a money thing as much as a happy and the fact that his slot, he hasn't been the focus guy that he was in 2019 and 2020. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, on Wrestling Observer's We're Live pal Andrew Zarian mentioned what he heard from those backstage in WWE regarding Cody's exit. There's no contract signed, I know that. There's nothing signed as of 3 p.m. ET on Tuesday, but it looks like he may be heading over there because the WWE guys were waving their WWE flag in victory with this. I was very shocked at the reaction this was getting from that side. Normally, I've been covering wrestling 11 years, been doing it on The Observer for a year now. I have never seen a celebration of sorts with someone that hasn't signed yet, so they see this as a win. I was told multiple times that optics wise, this looks bad for AEW, and this looks great for WWE, especially with the fact that not only was he an on-air top talent, he's an EVP. He's one of the founders, conceptualized the whole thing. So this is a mega story. This is huge. Talking to Ariel Helwani, AJ Styles touched on Impact Wrestling and WWE working together as he hinted at making an appearance for the promotion. I would love to see it. I think it's a good thing. I'm afraid the door only opens one way. There is a lot of library on AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, and some of the other guys and girls. It wouldn't be a bad thing. Maybe I wouldn't mind it. AJ would also talk about a potential matchup against Edge. He's so knowledgeable. He's such a superstar. I'd love to get the opportunity to get in the ring with him. There was that time when I thought there would never be an opportunity to wrestle him, and now it's here. The time is limited in which we can pull it off. Whether he or I retire first, who knows? But I want to get that match. I desperately want to get that match. I think it's the one that fans would enjoy. Recalling his WWE debut at the 2016 Royal Rumble, Styles said he believes WWE had no plans for him back then. I don't know if they planned anything. It was like, hey, we need something different for the Rumble. You want to throw in AJ? I think there was a big discussion when I'd even go out. I don't think Vince believed that anyone would know who I was. From what I'm hearing or heard, he saw nothing great about AJ Styles. Even after the pop of the Rumble, I wasn't even going to be on Raw the next day. During his appearance on the Kurt Angle show, Miro talked about the main differences between WWE and AEW, revealing that WWE was far more hands-on with their creative approach. Big differences. First, the creative. There are no writers, we just have Tony that writes certain things, but on a day-to-day basis, you're pretty much in charge of your own writing. If you have a promo, yeah, Tony may have a suggestion, but usually it's going to be on you and what do you want to say. The matches, yeah, we have producers or agents or coaches as we call them, but they're not going to be on every match, and they're not as hands-on as WWE is. They're not going to tell you, oh, they dived in the last match, so you can't do dives before that. The control level, it's all about peer-to-peer. There's not going to be a middleman. There's not going to be a man on top that tells you what you can and can't do. I had times where Vince tells me, don't smile, don't look at the people, don't raise your hand, don't do this. Tony Khan is not going to do this. He's a big wrestling fan and he wants to see good wrestling matches. The styles, you can tell the style is much different. If you watch WWE, you can tell it's kind of the same pattern, same storyline, same people. While in AEW, we're trying to be way different than that. Our matches are different. We have a lot more Attitude Era-ish, not with the blood and stuff, but just more Attitude Era to it. It's more adult-oriented. Miro would also note that he was promised a main event bout at WrestleMania against Bobby Lashley that never came to fruition. I was brought up for the spot to have a WrestleMania main event match. That's what I was pitched. I don't think I even made it to WrestleMania. Yeah, and it's not like I didn't do something they wanted me to. I did everything they wanted. I thought it was still over with the people. With CM Punk coming up short in his match against MJF on Dynamite a couple weeks back, Hugo Savinovich spoke about his booking in the company so far. Even though Tony Khan has not done a good job with CM Punk, especially when they just put him on commentary, that just really upsets me. Despite that, I still believe CM Punk's comeback, over 7 years waiting. I wish I would have had something to do with the creative part, because I would have had to strangle Tony Khan and whoever would not give CM Punk a chance. He gave a better opportunity certainly to Daniel Bryan than he did to CM Punk, and my money was on pushing CM Punk, because Bryan, he was already made. But with Punk, he was a controversial figure that left, not on his own terms, fired on his honeymoon by Vince McMahon. AEW was presented with such a powerful story to bring him back and they just brought him back like a professional TV person, not as CM Punk. But I still have to give it to him. The fact that he came back is what counts, not giving Tony Khan any credit for the job they have done. Perhaps in the last month and a half, they improved a little bit with him, but I think his comeback was news in CM Punk. If he is portrayed the right way and creatively of AEW people, now you've just got to say Tony Khan. If he does the right thing, I think CM Punk could shock the world again, but he really needs to have no respect for AEW or Tony Khan. He has to kick ass to come back and do what he did for many years as a straight shooter. With Steve Austin rumored to be making a return to in-ring action at WrestleMania, Meltzer discussed the possibility of additional matches for the Rattlesnake. Well, I suppose it depends on how Steve Austin physically feels after doing the one-shot. The thing is, he's got to be able to avoid injury at that age doing it. I could see him doing Mania and the next Saudi show, but they have a lot of stadium shows coming up. He would also be diminishing returns. The thing with Austin, which is one of the reasons that he never came back, was because Austin had a pretty high view of his own wrestling, and I don't don't think he wanted to come back as, a diminished wrestler. I don't know. I just heard that he's going to be at Mania. I could see him, perhaps being a regular in some form in a non-wrestling fashion. I could see that and maybe wrestle every now and then. I don't know. There's a lot of money in wrestling right now, and maybe he saw kind of like a deal with Edge, where you can do 3 matches and get just an incredible amount of money. Maybe he's going to do that. It would also be noted that WWE is planning a second Stone Cold surprise for Mania 38. I don't know which night he's going to wrestle, but that is the plan. They pretty much started the feud on Raw, and there's apparently one more surprise besides Austin still to come. It's supposed to be Austin level. That's a pretty small list of people that could be Austin level. The Rock, I think Dwayne's got stuff going on, so I don't think it's going to be him. So who else do we have? Hogan, Flair, Undertaker, right? Is there anybody else still active that would qualify at that level? Cena's got stuff going on. That could always be a swerve too, but I was told he's got stuff going on. I don't see Cena being at the level of an Austin. With Ric Flair recently announcing his split from longtime partner Wendy Barlow, the Nature Boy took to his podcast to call out WWE for not reaching out to him after the breakup. But what killed me is that if Charles Barkley, Darius Rucker, name it, I can go on the list. Kid Rock, call me and say, is everything cool? Which they have, and I go, yeah, everything's great. Life just changes and goes in different directions. Not one person from WWE, not one person reached out to me. The most insensitive company in the world. People that I've given my life to, and they have also given me a lot of theirs. None. You see where it goes. When you are not there, they simply do not care at all anymore. Jeff Hardy's WWE non-compete clause is set to expire on the 10th of March as many fans wonder if he'll join his brother Matt in AEW. On the Extreme Life, Matt Hardy was asked if he'll ever feud with his brother again, with him noting that the days of Matt and Jeff Hardy going head-to-head, they're probably done. We're teammates, we're not opponents. Regarding Cody Rhodes' departure from AEW, Sports Illustrated would note that one key factor that led to this exit was losing all responsibilities involving booking. That is a role where Khan, who is the head of creative, has taken full reign. Originally, Rhodes was part of that process. As great as Dusty Rhodes was as a performer, his contributions as a booker are an integral part of his legacy. For Rhodes, AEW represented another chance to pay homage to his father as a booker while also further cementing his own legacy. Losing that opportunity in AEW hurt Rhodes more than any loss he suffered in the ring. In the end, it would be said that every indication points to Rhodes heading back to WWE, with him possibly beginning to film segments at the Performance Center this weekend. AEW referee Aubrey Edwards would tweet out a photo showing off the new graphic for the company production truck before Dynamite. When it comes to Cody's wife Brandi, PW Torch would report that Brandi Rhodes was disliked heavily backstage in AEW. Now her former co-workers have come to bat for her, with Red Velvet saying, "Me and I think it's very disrespectful and rude how you guys can make comments and have people believe things that are not true. Back off and just be happy for people in their new endeavors. Good day." Nyla Rose would write, "This is just flat out some BS. Brandi was liked by many backstage, including myself. Is she a polarizing character? For sure. But don't work yourself into a shoot. You want a hot scoop from the source? Well, here it is. Stop making this up." Vicky Guerrero would add, "This is disappointing. A story breaks and the media knows all the facts. I can vouch for Brandi. She is professional and my friend over 10 years. She carries herself with integrity on and off the camera." With many wondering where Buddy Mathews will call home in terms of a promotion, it was reported that AEW is very much interested. Mathews has been a free agent since about September and told Fightful he wasn't quite sure of where he'd land. He's worked a plethora of indies as well as dates for MLW and New Japan, but we haven't heard details on him signing anywhere. Sources within AEW in recent weeks have indicated that there was growing interest and rumblings about Mathews joining the company in some capacity, with some even heard that there was creative pitches made, with another source going as far as to say the creative is already decided. We've not confirmed the latter. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.